I was a guest on America's Workforce Radio with Ed Flash Ferenc. I really enjoyed that. Jacob has been a guest, 2 or 3 times, maybe more.
I think at least 3.
Yeah, Jacob is a recurring guest, and he had the idea that, well, I should get on there too. And so we made that happen. So we really appreciate America's Workforce Radio. You know, just like our show, it is available as a podcast. And I had a chance to talk about the UMWA strike being, obviously being the biggest Alabama story, and mention the Teamsters win here in Huntsville City. Got to talk a little bit about the Valley Labor Report and our expansion plans and our website and the reporting we're doing on tvlr.fm. It was a great opportunity, and, love to do that. So if you have any programs that you listen to and you think, well, maybe Jacob and Adam should be on there, let us know. Let them know. We're happy to make that happen. We are down to spread the gospel of solidarity wherever they'll let us. And, of course, we're happy to promote the Valley Labor Report because we believe that we're doing important work here and filling a void in the media. So, all we can do is just try to expand that audience and expand that reach. And we appreciate everyone who's helped us do that.
America's Workforce. Here's Ed Flash Ferenc.
And remember, you can check us out on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. That would be AWF Union Podcast. By the way, this next segment brought to you in part by the Ohio Federation of Teachers. You can find more at oh.aft.org. Let's go to the state of Alabama right now. And joining us on our live line is Adam Keller. Adam, along with Jacob Morrison 3 years ago, started the Valley Labor Report, and it's doing pretty well. Not as long as America's Workforce. We're celebrating 30 years. You got 27 more years to catch up to us, Adam, but it's important that we get the union message out, especially in a right-to-work state. And I understand that your audience is growing. You also have a YouTube channel. So welcome to America's Workforce. Maybe you could give us a little background. I understand you did some teaching in high school. Why don't you just pick it up from there? Go ahead.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Flash, for the opportunity. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate the work that America's Workforce Radio does. I believe the work that y'all are doing and the work that we're doing is so important because we need media that is of, by, and for working class people. Media that can lift up the labor movement in the various parts of this country, particularly here in the Deep South. So I really appreciate that. And like you said, yeah, we've been on the air for a couple of years now. I got my background in education. I was a high school teacher and was very involved as a building rep and as a officer, a delegate, you name it. I was young, passionate, ready to go, and willing to serve, and that led into an advocacy role. I worked for the National Education Association affiliate down here in Alabama for over 5 years, representing the workers in Huntsville City Schools. And Huntsville is now Alabama's largest city. So it was quite an experience. And I have been switching gears lately. I am with IATSE 900. I'm a union stagehand in Huntsville, Alabama, and I've been doing that for about a year now. Very appreciative of my union brothers and sisters with IATSE, and have stepped into a couple of different roles already with the union. And so I am a union guy. I believe that the labor movement, there's something so powerful about working people coming together across our common interests to fight for a better country, for a better state, for a better world. Mm-hmm. And so that's why we do what we do.
That's good. How is the show doing as far as reach? Are you getting that union message? I mean, today with digital, you can quantify just about everything. What do you know about that right now?
So we are growing. We are growing our audience on YouTube. We still have FM stations that we air on, and we think that's important because, not everyone is online. Not everyone wants to go find something on YouTube or a podcast. There's still some old school folks who are tuning into their radio. And so we try to reach as many people as possible, as broad an audience as possible, regardless of, their age or their partisan affiliation. But we are certainly growing over the past few months. And just this past month, we've launched an expansion. We've added another episode every week. And we have also expanded our website to do some original reporting and some original commentary, report on community events. So we're excited because there is just a void in the media when it comes to covering labor and covering working people's issues, even more so here in the South. And so we think that's just the work we're doing is important, and we appreciate all the folks who have supported us so far, and including yourself, right? Because it's ultimately all of us who care about labor. We're working together towards the same mission, and the more we can collaborate, the stronger we are.
Amen, brother. Couldn't have said it any better. Talk to me about Warrior Met. I guess the workers are back at the coal mine there, and it would have been 2 years on April 1st, and apparently there was some frustration, and they decided to go back, and they're trying to work out a deal. I'm sure you have some more details. Can you share anything with us right now?
Sure. So that's, the Warrior Met strike is obviously the biggest labor story in Alabama that we've been covering. And on February 16th, the UMWA sent an unconditional return to work letter to Warrior Met. Like you said, it's been nearly 2 years on strike. It's, as far as we know, Alabama's longest strike in our state history. There's different ways to look at this process. The union was very clear that this is a new phase of the fight. Ultimately, though, the miners held out for a very long time, but they were facing some serious obstacles. They could not have predicted, for example, that the price of coal would skyrocket in the marketplace, which has been a huge obstacle for the duration of this strike. For those who aren't familiar, this is metallurgical coal, so it's not for fuel. It's for producing steel. But the coal prices have skyrocketed, and Warrior Met just happened to have had a stockpile when the strike began because they never shut down for COVID, right? So they had a stockpile of coal. The coal prices skyrocketed as this strike has gone on. And unfortunately, Warrior Met has been recruiting a lot of replacement workers, what we would call scabs in our movement, and scabs from West Virginia, Kentucky, all over the South. They have been recruiting folks to come down here. So Warrior Met has lost out on over $1 billion in potential profit because the mines have not been operating at full capacity. The scab workers are not as trained or as experienced, so they're not as productive. But because of those market prices, because of that stockpile, and the ability to recruit scabs to the mines, as Cecil Roberts, the UMWA president, said, nothing has materially changed with nearly 23 months of a strike. And so, the union made the decision to return to work. Right now, that process is undergoing. Right now, the workers are being subjected to drug tests, safety training, other, procedural hoops to jump through, basically, before they can go back into the mines. But there's going to be a lot left to be decided because obviously you have a very contentious strike and you're bringing both sides together in the same workplace now. Mm-hmm. And how that's going to play out is anyone's guess. But at the end of the day, these miners, after such a historic struggle, still don't have the contract that they deserve. And they have been given no help from our state government and, frankly, from the national government. We have had a lot of politicians love to talk about coal miners, but when the coal miners in Alabama, in Brookwood, Alabama, were on strike and needed help, they were abandoned by so many in the political class.
Not only that, they went against them. Talk to me about your governor down there. They sent troopers over there to escort the scabs?
Absolutely. So Governor Kay Ivey in Alabama, she made it a point to dedicate state troopers, that state resources, to escort these scabs to and from the mines. And local law enforcement was clearly not on the side of the striking miners. The miners themselves faced a variety of violence and other issues from the scab workers and from folks in management. But, law enforcement made it clear whose side they were on. And, the political class in the state of Alabama never discussed the strike and would quietly side with the company. And one of the most severe forms of that was the way our picket lines were restricted. The local judges restricted the picket lines to almost nothing. Just, to me, an egregious violation of freedom of speech and freedom of assembly. And that also played a role. As most of our listeners know, the picket line is vital to a strike. Sure. Maintaining a strong picket line. And so when judges interfere and restrict the right to have a sizable picket, that only added to, the obstacles these brave folks were facing.
Well, we'll stay on this. Hopefully they will achieve some kind of a contract here in the not too distant future. I know this has been a very, very ugly situation, but you got to move on.
And the last thing I'll say is, because I don't want to end on a negative note with this, the thing that, despite the unfavorable outcome so far, despite the ugly, bitter fight that this has been and the abandonment by so many in the political class, there has been a remarkable display of solidarity. There have been brothers and sisters from across this country and across this world who have joined in with this struggle, who have pitched into the strike fund, who have come down to Brookwood to work in the strike pantry with the Miners Auxiliary and those, great sisters down there. So, if I have anything to close on that struggle, that's worth remembering.
Yeah.
Despite all the bad stuff, all the negativity, it still remains that so many brothers and sisters in this movement really chipped in and came to their defense. And I think that's important.
Well, we do have a couple of minutes left. And speaking of being positive, I understand there was a huge Teamster victory in Huntsville, Alabama. Can you give us some details on that?
Oh, yes. I'm so excited to report this. Teamsters 402 successfully organized some school bus drivers in Huntsville. And as I mentioned, Huntsville is the biggest city in the state of Alabama. Huntsville City Schools has long privatized many of its support services, from bus drivers to cafeteria workers to custodians to security guards, you name it. If they could outsource it, they've tried it.
Oh, yeah.
And the remarkable thing here is that these bus drivers have unionized with Teamsters. 131-6 was the margin of victory.
Wow.
And that's remarkable. As one of my brothers said, they went from privatized to unionized. And that is just a remarkable victory. And that's something that, we broke the story on tvlr.fm, our new website. And local news has, I think, just now, last night, caught up to the story 5 days later. How do you not know such a huge victory right here in the community? I don't know. I don't know. But, that goes to show how important the work you're doing and the work we're doing is, because, that's nearly 200 bus drivers whose lives has changed for the better. And we'll see how that goes. The Teamsters do have a contract with First Student, the company that owns the buses. And so, we're looking forward to welcoming these sisters and brothers into our local labor movement.
Well, Adam, I'll tell you, Alabama's lucky to have the Valley Labor Report, because you just got to keep pounding that message. The mainstream media is so corporate today, and finally they picked up on it. And if you pound that message, eventually they're gonna also pick up on that message. So keep doing what you're doing. Yeah, let's promote your website here. It's tvlr.fm. TVLR. That would be the Valley Labor Report, TVLR-FM. Do check that out, and I see you just expanded it. So you know what? Let's do this again. Tell Jacob I said hello, and let's get that union message out together, okay, brother?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And, sending my love and solidarity to all your listeners from Alabama.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project. And you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.